Well, how about this? It is crazy to watch Twisters, the natural disaster film, the standalone sequel to the 1990s film, the movie that turns tornadoes into crazy kaiju, still sticking around in the third weekend and performing quite well. But it is not making some people feel very swell because, well, it's being blamed. People are mad. Not normal people, but insane people are very angry. They say that Twisters proves Hollywood is now catering to red states. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the place that is always in a state of happiness. Well, of joy, maybe. I don't know how you want to define it. Of meaning, perhaps. But we find it very meaningful to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. It's the Pro Channel, and we're happy that you're here. If you would not mind, perhaps be inclined to click the like button, and we'll bring on the panel to explain why Twisters is making the Holly Weird so very angry. They're mad. They're upset. And it all has to do something with climate change. At Hollywood now, they're blaming red states for being forced to mitigate their messaging and go back to making money. This is out of Breitbart, and it's by John Nolte, a favorite of LW Ghost, I believe, and he is the one who sent it my way, this topic today. Yeah. New York Times lies about Hollywood catering to red state conservatives. All right, so here's what they're saying about why they're moderating and getting rid of the divisiveness. It says, never have I ever read an article based on such false premise as this one from far-left New York Times over the weekend. Hollywood's message to red states, our movies are for you. For nearly 2 decades, Hollywood has seemingly missed no opportunity to sound the alarm about climate change, reports the Times. So it was startling when the weather-focused Twisters arrived from Universal Pictures this month with no mention of climate change at all. It goes on to talk about all this, then comes to the lie. Put bluntly, it amounts to an attempt by Hollywood to bend to red state audiences. And then John Nolte, the author here, goes on to make an argument that I think is profound and important. Here's what he says. He says, urban leftists hate woke movies every bit as much as those in the conservative side. How do we know this, says Nolte? Let's use the science of math. Almost 66 million people voted for Clinton in 2016. All that's required to get your movie to a $200 million domestic gross is about 1/3 of those voters showing up and buying tickets. That's it. So 1/3 of the electorate that voted for the blue in 2016. And, oh, by the way, don't forget that in 2020, those votes skyrocketed for that side. So maybe 1/4 of that. In a country where nearly 66 million people voted for that particular side, Hollywood does not need a single red state customer to make a profit. Hollywood's problem is not that the conservatives refuse to pay for this woke garbage. Hollywood's problem is that not even their own lefties are interested in paying for this stuff. Now, taking out the colorful language of the article, and I'll leave this up for folks to read if they would like, taking out that part of it, and I think this goes back to Rings of Power and to The Acolyte and some of these other failed streaming services. You know, if the people that these shows and movies are aimed for actually watched them, they would be successful. And I think this is the beauty of the article. Their problem is that the people that they believe will watch this aren't even watching it. And we can tell that by the numbers, by looking at this, in terms of attendance. And getting away from that division not only increases the numbers of people going to see it from conservative sides, such as what we saw with Top Gun Maverick, but it's also increasing the numbers dramatically in states that are traditionally seen as leftist. And I don't want to use the word classically liberal or liberal because it's a different connotation today versus what that was 30 years ago. So I want to ask, and I'll start with Lou, because Lou, you sent this my way, and so I assume that you found profundity in it. Lou, yes. What do you think in terms of the math here? Is this accurate that the people they believe will watch aren't watching? And what do they do about that?
Well, the answer is, as he says, we are all human beings, and from our storytellers, we are hardwired to ask only 2 things. 1, cast a spell. 2, don't break that spell. This is a universal part of the human condition. Now, look, it's not even the message. It's the messaging. It's the lecturing. It's the hectoring. It's the, to use a common expression, the Karening of so many of these movies. People don't want to pay money to be talked at. They want to pay money to be entertained. And once you lose sight of that, woke, broke, all that stuff follows. Gads. Dead silence.
Pro, you got muted there, man.
No, he stepped away in the private chat. He said that.
Anyway.
Yeah, I actually disagree with the math a little bit here. I think it goes back to the point that we were making really earlier was with what Jonas says. He's not actually interested in watching sports. So I don't think you can really kind of apply this like broad generalization that all of these Hillary Clinton voters are always just, they're just going to go to the movies.
But you didn't need all of them. You needed a third or a half
of them.
Right,
well, even a third of them might not be moviegoers. They might not be television watchers, etc. Right. So I think there's a little bit of an issue with that. And we see that, right? We also know that a lot of these franchises do already have built-in audiences. And a lot of times they're trying to change that. You can look at Star Wars as the perfect example. Clearly, it's a male audience. Kathleen Kennedy has now confirmed that in the lead up to The Acolyte, where she said it is indeed a male-dominated audience, but she's actively been trying to subvert it by turning it into a female audience. And it has been absolutely a train wreck for that. And so I think there's a little bit more to what his analysis here is. You have to look at these things on maybe a case-by-case basis than rather generalizing. Again, someone who's watching a Lord of the Rings film might not be watching a Borderlands movie that's coming out, right? So I think there's a lot of factors that go into this. I don't think I think he's generalizing way too much on just
John. Let me drive into that. Let me pick your mind on that a little bit. So when you say he's generalizing, I think that there is an opportunity for woke to win in a very specific way. And that is what we saw with Barbie. I think that there is a large, ravenous demographic of women from, let's say, 16 to 30 or mid-30s, and that those women will support a movie that is slightly woke, but not tremendously woke, but they'll support it in huge numbers, like we've not seen before. And I think it's a new demographic out there. And so I tend to think Inside Out 2 lands in that. John and Lou.
I liked Barbie, and I don't like that message at all.
Wait a minute. You liked the third act of Barbie, Lou?
The third act was tedious, yes, but the rest of it was so much fun. I was already in the theater by then and bought my popcorn. So they did a good job of getting me there, and that's part of it too. And they didn't say, "Hey, come hear the message." They said, "Come have fun with bright colors and fun people and good jokes." And they delivered.
I see John has eyebrows raised. John?
Well, you must have missed some of the interviews that Greta Gerwig gave.
I heard all the interviews. I knew what they wanted to do. I'm just telling you, if so, they failed for 2/3 of the movie to do that. Or they were very clever sneaking up on it with it. And by that time, you're stuck. Now, I'll admit, I did not pay for it. I got a screener because they wanted me to vote for it. And I make
you industry insider, you sneaky insider.
But I'll tell you what, it was fun. The performances were good, and it was different. It was, visually stylish, and that goes a long way, as opposed to some of these dreary lectures that we've been given.
Yes.
God. By some very, very talented people and famous actors and people who should draw. That I just.
So I haven't watched Barbie. I have seen the clip, and that movie does include like a really big lecture from what's her name, and like she goes
America
on this like long rant.
Yeah, she does, and it's
about how hard it is to be a woman every single day.
Yeah.
They not only make up the Barbie world, they make up the real world, because the real world doesn't exist as they have it in the Barbie movie.
Absolutely true.
What is it? Fantasy. The whole Mattel board is all male in the Barbie movie, but in real life it's more than half female. And so they had to change the actual facts of real life in order to create a narrative that they wanted.
Making a factual movie, they were making a fantasy, and it on its own terms, it worked. It really
Jonathan, what do you make of the outcry that we've seen regarding Twisters? This has been one of the funniest things I've seen, is that just because this movie about weather didn't tackle climate change, the people who are all about the message have lost their minds. They're furious that this poor little movie wouldn't do that.
It's so funny because I actually went and saw Twisters because I had a free movie ticket. I had to use free popcorn for my birthday at AMC, and I'm like, all right, Go with my wife. We're gonna go see Twisters. Just I want a good popcorn movie. I heard good things. I loved the movie. It was just a fun like summer flick that had nothing objectionable about it, and it shows though how dyed-in-the-wool these people are, that the message must be told. If there is no message, by default, that means the movie isn't succeeding. So that goes back to the whole discussion of like, well, doesn't it have to make money? Well, not to these people. Like, so because it doesn't have the message, it won't succeed. They won't give it a good review. I find it hilarious that even though a film can be great, like Sound of Freedom last year, right? Because a certain people group, I guess, for lack of a better term, people who are moral, like the movie, they'll denounce it. It says theme. Yeah, it says more about them than about the people who are going to see it.
And
well, you know why they're furious. Real quick, they're furious because not only did Deadpool and Wolverine win the box office this past weekend, which is two pale skinned guys and middle aged being heroes, but Twisters held on, making $46 million in its second weekend despite Deadpool and Wolverine. So whereas you might have thought that Twisters would have fallen off, and I thought it would fall off, even I am shocked that this non-divisive message movie, apparently the guys went to see Deadpool and Wolverine in mass, and the girls broke away from them and went in and watched Twisters for Glenn. Do it for Glenn's sake.
Let's take that one step further, Pro.
Yes.
Could the denunciation of Twisters as not carrying the message have been why people in the second week said, oh, it must be safe, let's go see it?
That's a good point.
They may have helped the box office by denouncing it.
Well, Joker. In reading last night, I had a bout of insomnia, so I went through that whole In Snyder thing. They're doing a Top Gun 3. That's no question. Of course, why wouldn't you do a Top Gun 3 at this point? Don't think it's going to take 30 years for that one to get made. But I can see Glenn Powell having a much larger role in the second of these. Sorry, obviously the third, but it's essentially a new series when you go this long. But I think that Glenn Powell is filling a niche that I don't know. I don't want to say he hasn't earned it yet. He's obviously been in Hollywood a very long time.
He's the new Matthew McConaughey.
He is, but it's an unfair comparison because Matthew McConaughey is also a pretty good actor. And Glenn Powell's fine. I haven't seen him do anything.
They both do a good Matthew McConaughey. I'll agree. Matthew and Glenn both do a good Matthew.
I mean, at the same time, you put a slim, muscular white guy in a cowboy hat, and everyone's going to say, oh, you're doing a Matthew McConaughey thing, because that's just what Matthew McConaughey is known for at this point. I think that this guy
Whereas you put an Alec Baldwin in a cowboy hat and everybody runs away. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that this guy probably has a long career ahead of him, as long as he doesn't pull an Alan Richardson or something ridiculous like that. He can have a fan base that will show up. He can be the guy that in 30 years, when his career is not so hot, that if there's a red box equivalent, that the dads will all be like, yeah, I don't know what that one is, but it's got Glenn Powell in it. We'll watch that one. It probably won't be too bad, kind of thing. I don't want to doom his career by saying that, but he could fulfill a role in Hollywood that is currently abdicated by pretty much everybody else out there. Bruce Willis is not doing that anymore, obviously, for obvious reasons. Steven Seagal, there's still a bit of a cringe factor there on some of Steven Seagal's more recent stuff. I think Glenn Powell could market himself in a way to be the go-to for, well, this is going to be a Butch film about somebody being manly and doing manly things. So,
and can I just say that Chuck Norris is 81 and still looks like he is in the peak of perfection. So, and when it comes to his physique, so perhaps he and Hugh Jackman are on the same thing. I don't know what it is, but those guys are simply unaging. Folks, we've come to the end yet again. As Matthew McConaughey, and perhaps as Glenn himself would say, all right. It is time for us to move on into the night, and we will see you again tomorrow. 3 videos every single day right here on the Pro Channel. We deliver to you hot and fresh because you deserve it. Folks, thank you so much for being here. You are appreciated. You are seen. On the way out the door, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And if you're not yet subscribed to Vacation Radio, click the link in the video description below and you can join our original content 24/7, 365 radio station, the first of many we plan to roll out. All right, we're rolling out as well. Folks, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.